decals for mason jar fairy light beach theme. So I have a cup of water to wash the brushes, 1 or 2 brushes. I usually like to use a bigger one, at least a smaller one for some detail. A light of some sort to put inside, so whether you use one of those fake candles that you can turn on and off, or fairy lights, you'll need a mason jar, paint. I'm going to use an aqua color for the water. You can use any blue, white. I have like a beige, which is like a raw sienna. I'm going to add some white to it and make a sand color. And then I have a darker blue, but you can use any blue you want for the ocean color of your beach water. I also have one of these great handles. I got it on Amazon. Same with the lights, the fairy lights. They're pretty inexpensive. You can look up mason jar handle, and this way you'll be able to hang and hold it. Hi, I'm Melissa from Paint Party LI, and I'll be painting with you today, step by step, the beach themed mason jar nightlight. And what I'm going to do first is do the sand color. So I'm going to take some of my raw sienna. You can use any sort of caramel beige color. I'm going to mix it with a little bit of white. I'm using my bigger brush, but you can use anything that's flat just to paint that bottom part, that sand color. Again, I mixed it with some white, and I'm just going to go all the way around the bottom of the jar. Okay, when I do that, I'm going all the way around, covering the whole bottom. Okay, so we're just painting the whole bottom with that beige sand color. Nice thin coat. I'll go up a couple of inches, leaving room for the watercolor also. Okay, it might need a second coat, and that's fine, but if you're going to add a second coat, you got to let it dry all the way, and then you can go back into it. So I'm going to clean off that brush, tap it down to the bottom of the cup, get all the paint out, wipe it off on your paper towel. Now I'm going to go in with the watercolor, so the ocean color. Any color you're going to use, any sort of blue or aqua. Okay, again, I'm going to mix it with a little bit of white. Just going to grab a little bit of both on my brush. I'm not even going to really mix them together because I want it to be a little bit streaky. Now I'm going to go real close down to the sand color, but I'm not going to touch them because I'm going to go back in there with a little bit of white paint and dab it in for the surf that's going to be coming in. Okay, so this is a nice, easy project to create with your mason jar. Pretty cool. You put it on your nightstand, light up when it's nighttime. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so we're going nice and thin all the way around. Again, my lines here are not even. They're kind of waving all over the place, and that's fine. I want it to look like that because I don't want the line of the beach to be totally straight around. Okay, so again, I'm going nice thin coat. I probably will go with a second coat at some point. Just want to let it dry a little bit first. So once you have a coat of each of those, you're going to clean off your brush completely. Again, it's important to put that white paint in both of them, both the colors. That'll help cover on the glass better. I'm going to go now and add some clouds up in the sky before I go back and start adding any detail in the water or the sand. Okay, so I'm just going to take my smaller brush with a little bit of white paint, and I'm going to add a couple of clouds up on top. When I do this, it's just a rounded brush stroke, kind of tapering off a little smaller on the edges. Just a simple cloud. I'll do one on each side, depending on how big or small your jar is. Okay, just adding in a little cloud, doing a nice thin coat. I will definitely go back and add a second coat on those. Okay, so that's just a first coat on both of those. cleaning off that brush a little bit. We're gonna go back in once the sand color is completely dry and add another coat of that, another coat of the water before I start to add any of the little details on top of that. So I'm just gonna hit it with a hairdryer real quick just to dry it. You can do the same if you want to, and come back and paint. Okay, so now that I blow dried it, I'm gonna do a second coat, and you wanna make sure that the first coat is really, really super dry before you go on to doing the second coat, because if you go in too quickly, what'll happen is that paint will kind of lift up and it'll get chunky looking. All right, so I'm gonna do the bottom first, and I'm gonna mix a little bit more of that sand color. So I'm mixing a little bit more of that beige, that mustardy yellow with some white, and that'll make a nice sand color. And I'm just going around doing a nice thin coat right over what I already had there. Just a nice thin coat. You don't need a ton of paint when you're painting on glass. And it's okay to be streaky, like I have the white and the sand color in there together. I like it to be a little streaky and not just a flat color. I went all the way around, did a second coat. I'm gonna wash that brush off. Tapping it down to the bottom of the cup, getting all the paint off and then drying it off. I'm gonna go back into that aqua and the white, and I'm gonna do another coat of that. Again, I purposely want it to be streaky, so I'm gonna go in nice and thin. I'm not gonna mix it on my brush a whole lot. Remember, if it's not dry and it's starting to lift off, you want to dry it a little bit more before you go on. Otherwise, you'll just keep lifting the paint off, okay? Nice thin coat. You don't want to go back and forth a million times over it. That'll lift up the paint also. You want to go nice and thin as you go. Okay, so I have a nice thin second coat. You'll see the top of it's a little bit wavy. I purposely didn't do it straight going around. I'm gonna clean off that brush. And I'm gonna go back and add a little bit more white paint into my clouds, just giving it a second coat, which will sit nice and thick so that you won't see through it. Okay, again, nice thin coat though. When I mean the paint's going on thick, I just mean a second layer will make it appear thicker. You don't wanna go super thick with that paint. Okay, nice thin coat here going on so that it's not see-through anymore. Just a couple of clouds up top. Okay, so with that smaller brush, I'm gonna go in with just white paint, and I'm gonna really load up my brush. I'm gonna dab right in the middle where the two colors meet. So where the aqua color meets the sand color, this is going to be the surf that's coming up here for the beach when the water goes onto the sand and you have that little white part that goes around the edge from it rushing in, right? That'll be that part. So we're just dabbing on very gently here. I have a generous amount of white paint, and this is okay to have a nice thick amount because we don't need to paint on top of that, and it won't flake off like it would if you were just doing layers of it. So I'm just dabbing it on, just all the way around at the line where the two meet, okay? So once you're done with that, you're gonna clean off the brush. We're gonna add a little shadow line underneath that surf line that we just put in. So I'm going back into that raw sienna color, which is my sand color, and I'm not gonna mix it this time with any white. I'm just gonna take a little bit on my brush, so I have some just like that. And I'm gonna drag this very gently, very thin line. So now the key to this is use your small brush, and you don't wanna press down very hard. You just wanna drag it along so it's a nice thin line. And I'm gonna do that right underneath my surf line, right underneath that water. And what that's gonna do is give the appearance of making it a little bit more 3D. Okay, we're gonna go all the way around. Right, and so what I mean by 3D under there is that your surf will look like it's raised up a little bit, and this is maybe the shadow on the beach as it comes in. Okay, and I'm going all the way around, not with a ton of paint, just a little bit of paint on my brush this time around. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a shadow underneath that surf line. Now, fun things you can add to your beach. You can add, to make it look like you drew in the sand. You know how you draw in the sand? It's a little bit darker, so I'm going to use that same straight color for the sand. And you can do like a heart with initials in it, or you can do, you can do your initials, do the heart, or you can do a little paw print. I'll show you a little bit of each. You can even put some flip-flops on the beach or a little ball. Okay, so if I was going to do the heart on the beach, I would do it like that. And you can put your own initial in there, or you can put a couple of initials, whatever you want to put in there. Spell out your name if you make the heart big enough, or if you have a short enough name. I'm going to clean off my brush, go back in with the small brush, and right on that little heart, I'm just going to add a few little brush strokes of white right on the sand color, just like that. Okay. All right, so I'm also going to show you little pet paw prints on there. So if you want to do a paw print, it's almost like an upside down little heart, like that. And then we're doing 4 little dots up along the top of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can do a couple of those if you want it to look like little paw prints for a dog on there. Okay, just like that. Decide you want to do some flip-flops. You just have to pick a color. I'll show you some red flip-flops. I have some red paint over here if you have red or whatever color you have. And I'll put the flip-flops on this side. So when I do the flip-flops, I'm going to do just almost like this bean type of shape. Smaller a little bit at the bottom, curves in towards the arch of the foot there. It's a little curve. And then when I do the second one, it's going to be the opposite. So it's going to face that one. I'll make it a little bit higher up so it's not exactly in line, like you kicked off your flip-flops on the beach. Okay, I'm just going to fill those in, and we'll come back to those once they dry a little bit more, and we'll add some straps onto them. Okay, I'm just going to give it a little bit more paint in there. Okay, so once you have those in there, you're going to clean off your brush. I'm going to add a little detail into the water now. So I want to make sure all of that red paint is out of my brush, tapping it down very gently. I'm using the small brush. Now I'm going to come in here with some white on my little brush, and I'm just going to very gently dab the tip of it right here so I can make some little waves in the water. Okay, so I'm turning my brush sideways. I'm using the tip of the brush, and I'm just dabbing across, and you can give it a little wavy look. It doesn't have to be straight across. I'm going to make these little waves in the ocean. I'll just do 2 or 3 of them. You don't need a ton. Okay, if you have dark blue, you can mix a little bit of dark blue with the aqua or whatever color you used. Right, and I get a nice dark color here. So what I did was take some of my dark blue and mixed it with some of my aqua. Then I'll go in and add a few little skinny lines here and there. Just give the water a little bit of depth, like it's got a few different colors of the blue in there. I like a nice tropical Caribbean ocean, but you can do yours a regular royal blue, like a more northern ocean. Okay, so I'm just kind of dragging a few blue lines in there. Once you have that done, we're going to come back and add, if you did that flip-flops, you can add the straps to your flip-flops now. So I'm going to go in with a little white. And I'm just gonna add what looks like an upside down V to give it a little strap right on that little flip-flop. Just like that. Okay, when you're done with that, you are completely done painting. You can go ahead and put your lights in there. If you have the fairy lights, you're just gonna unwind them. They usually come coiled up. I usually just like to stick them right in there, kind of get them sticking up. Okay, this little guy has an on-off switch, so you'll be able to turn them on and off. You just need to kind of leave that up and over the edge, or you have to be able to reach your hand into your jar to reach it. Okay, so I'm going to put those lights in there, just like that. Now, this is pretty cool because it's got a little handle, and you can put this around your jar. Again, I just got this on Amazon. You can look up mason jar handle. Okay, I'm just going to attach it on the back here. You can pick it up and put it right on your nightstand. Cute little beach themed mason jar nightlight. All right, thanks for painting with me today.